Hello, YouTube. Sergeant Fidget reporting in, and I hope you are having a great day and you are excited to see the big changes that are coming to Dead by Daylight with the new progression system and the 39 perk overhaul coming. What seems to be in the mid-chapter update, which I'm assuming the actual release date for this patch will be around July 19th. That's not a confirmation. That is just speculation. Also, I think, before we get into this, I have been sick over the last 5 days. So if throughout this video, my voice is starting to go a little bit, that's what's going on. I am very much looking forward to reading this. I have not seen anything about this. I haven't read any notes. I haven't seen any reactions on Twitter or anything. I have been looking forward to this update for a while now, even before it was really announced. A little about me before we get into it. I started playing Dead by Daylight during the Silent Hill chapter about 2 years ago. And I instantly fell in love with the killer role of this game. To this day, killer is still my favorite part of this game. However, over the last while, I have mostly been playing Survivor because it got to a point where, as I'm sure many of you know, every game was the exact same. Dead hard, 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 dead hard. And every once in a while, they'd mix it up and throw in dead hard. So I have been playing Survivor for the most part. So when I say what I'm about to say, I really mean it. I hope with this update, the meta is drastically shifting for both sides. When I took a break from Killer, it wasn't because I was losing. I was actually still winning a lot of my games. It just straight up wasn't fun for me anymore, which makes me really sad because, again, Killer was my favorite part of this game, is what got me into it in the first place. Also, the Survivor side was also the same thing, Scourge, Pop, Ruin, Deadman, Switch, Noed, whatever. You just see the same things over and over and over again. So I really mean it when I say I hope the perk changes that are coming on both sides, including some of my own favorite perks, are either nerfed into the ground or reworked, because at the end of the day, fun should be the most important thing in this game. And right now, with the meta on both sides, it's kind of boring. It's not the most fun meta right now. For example, I know Adrenaline isn't in this rework as far as I know, but before they announced what perks were going to be reworked, Adrenaline is one of my go-to perks. Anyone who follows me on Twitch or has seen my TikToks know I make a lot of plays with Adrenaline. If they were going to rework Adrenaline for the betterment of the entire game and make it more fun, I was willing to accept that. I was okay with that if it made for a better game overall. So today, when we go through these perks, if some of your favorite perks, like Dead Hard, Pop Goes the Weasel, I know Iron Will is in here, any of your favorite perks are here, try to go in with an open mind that even if your favorite perk is maybe being gutted, it will hopefully lead to a healthier and more fun game, no matter which side you play. With that being said, let's just dive into it, because I feel there's going to be a lot to read through today. During our 6th anniversary broadcast, we announced a new progression system and a meta-shifting perk overhaul. We're thrilled to say that both initiatives will headline the upcoming mid-chapter. From the onset, it was important for us to release these changes as a package. Our objective is to shake up the current meta, provide alternatives, and make perks easier to earn. We were also careful to consider the reasons why this meta exists and address any base game issues it may have been concealing. Thank God for that, because one of the original worries that I had was there is a reason why killers will run Scourge, Deadman, Switch, Pop, Ruin. Boring, I know. And then there's a reason why survivors will run Dead Hard, DS, Borrowed Time, Unbreakable. Again, boring, I know. But there was an actual reason why people felt the need to do this. So if they change the perks without changing actual game mechanics, in my opinion, this whole rework would flop. So I'm very curious to see what they do with it. In this post, we'll be detailing the upcoming changes, all of which will be available for testing in the PTB next week. Overhauled progression system. Collecting all the perks has been an important goal for many players. However, since both the number of perks and characters are constantly increasing, the grind expands at an exponential rate with every new chapter. To address this, we're completely overhauling the way perks are earned, adding new rewards, and making completion easier than ever before. Good, because I have only prestiged some of my newer killers, I think about 5 of the new killers, just because it was so much work to get all the perks on everyone. I didn't want to have to lose all that progress, especially some of the killers that I have event items on that you can't get ever again. So they've already briefly talked with this before. With this new system, I can already tell when it launches, I am going to start prestiging both my killers and my survivors now. I had no intention of prestiging survivors because the grind was just too bad. I think, once again, this is going to be super healthy for the game. In the current system, you must reach level 40 on a given character to unlock all the teachable perks, and then find those perks in the blood webs of every other character. In order to unlock all the new perks on every character by the time next chapter release, you would need to play an estimated average of 4.1 hours every day. With this new system, that estimate decreases to an average of 1.01 hours each day, and that's not even factoring in blood point bonuses from events, perks, or offerings. In other words, this is the single largest reduction in grind we've ever made, cutting it by roughly 75%. Cheers to that. Unlockable perks. The teachable rarity is no more. Now, perks are tied directly to prestige. Prestiging a character for the first time will instantly unlock the tier 1 versions of the unique perks for all other killers or survivors, making them immediately available for use without ever opening the blood web. Now, if you have all your, say, killers prestiged, and a new killer comes out, like the Dredge, for example, if all your other killers are prestiged, the Dredge will start unlocked with every single perk from all the other killers. So when you're leveling up in the blood web, my assumption, you will only have to unlock the base game perks, like NOED, for example, and then unlock the Dredge's new perks alongside them. Huge grind reduction. Prestiging a character for the second and third time will unlock the tier 2 and 3 versions of their unique perks. Alternatively, higher tier versions of their perks will appear randomly in blood webs once the first tier has been unlocked. Say you prestige the Trapper. You will instantly unlock tier 1 versions of Agitation, Brutal Strength, and Unnerving Presence on all other killers. Tier 2 and 3 versions of these perks will now appear randomly in the blood web. Prestiging the Trapper will again make the tier 2 versions of these perks immediately available, and so on. This way, you'll only need to earn the perks once to earn them on every character. The perks you've unlocked will be instantly available on any new characters as well, making them easier to pick up and play without a substantial blood point investment. Also making it way more friendly for new players. No more resets. Prestiging has always been a bit of a dilemma. Do you give up everything for bragging rights, or do you keep what you have to minimize the grind? Now that prestige is the main way to unlock perks, we wanted to make the choice clear. Prestiging a character will no longer remove their perks, items, add-ons, or offerings. Perk slots will also remain unlocked after prestiging. A great, fantastic change. With no reason not to prestige, prestiging a character is no longer optional. After reaching level 50, you'll receive a special blood web with only a single node. Purchasing this node will increase your prestige level and reset your character's level to 1. Cool. Endless prestige. With prestige now being the main way to progress, it will no longer be as impressive to have your characters maxed out at prestige level 3. It only made sense to have a new way to recognize our most committed players, so we've removed the prestige limit entirely. But what would more prestige levels be without rewards? Reaching prestige levels 4, 5, and 6 will now award that character bloody prestige cosmetics, once again signifying those who went above and beyond. So I'm assuming that's the cosmetics you usually get for prestige 1, 2, and 3 in the current game. Now that prestiging for the first 3 times awards perks, it only made sense to move these higher. It is, okay. If you've already unlocked these cosmetics, don't worry. We won't be taking them away from you. You've earned it. For the completionist, prestige levels 7, 8, and 9 will grant one of the character's unique perks as a charm. We also want to highlight your dedication to your favorite characters no matter how many times you've prestiged them. Once the trial is over, your prestige level will now be shown in the space previously occupied by grades. Those who spend millions of blood points stockpiling add-ons for your favorite characters will now have a way of showcasing your hard work to the world. My first reaction to that is people losing a game and going, why am I getting matched up against Prestige 6, 5, 69? Tell me I'm wrong. Shrine of Secrets. Unlike before, where the Shrine of Secrets would offer teachable perks that needed to be found in blood webs, the shrine will now allow you to purchase perks directly. Purchasing a perk through the Shrine of Secrets will make the tier 1 version of it immediately available on all killers or survivors, much like Prestige. Subsequent tiers of that perk will also begin appearing in blood webs. Hey, that's great. Again, reducing the grind. Love it. You may also purchase a perk again to increase its tier. This works seemingly with the Prestige system, as purchasing a perk you've already unlocked through Prestige will instead increase its tier. So if you have enough Eerie Shards like me, I'm currently at 134,000 Eerie Shards. I've spent 30,000 already in the 6-year event, and I'll be spending more. If you just want to buy all 3 tiers right away on your characters, you can do that. Transitioning to the new system. With many spending hundreds, if not thousands of hours playing Dead by Daylight over the years, we wanted to make sure that everyone is rewarded fairly. With the system releases, we'll be automatically awarding existing players an appropriate number of prestige levels based on how many perk tiers they've unlocked. If you've left all your characters at level 50 and focus on unlocking perks, your work won't be for nothing. It's also important that you don't lose anything when the system is updated. You'll keep any perks and bloody prestige cosmetics that you've already unlocked. Those who reach Prestige 3 before the update will receive a special prestige icon to recognize their achievements and commemorate the perk and add-ons they lost in the process. We'll be hosting a live stream soon to show the updated system in action and answer any questions you might have ahead of the PTB. Gameplay updates. I just saw generator speeds, now I'm curious. Some of the most consistent feedback we receive centers around the perk meta. A handful of perks have a dominant usage range, especially in higher skill matches. Naturally, the gameplay can feel stale when you see the same perks again and again. Agreed. In the past, we've addressed individual perks through various updates, but the odd meta change is not enough to shake things up. In this update, we are reworking and rebalancing 39 perks, meta included. We aim to reduce the reliance on the current meta while also providing many new options to experiment with. Before we can make meaningful changes to the meta, we need to look at why these perks are so heavily used in the first place. While some perks are popular because of their strength, others are popular because they reduce the likelihood of an unfun situation. Therefore, we're prepared a few baseline changes to address some of these core gameplay issues. Here we go. This is what we needed before we get into the perks. Generator speeds. Looking at the perks mostly used by killers, there's a very clear trend. Any perk that helps prevent generators from being powered, slowdown perks for short, are favored. Corrupt Intervention, Pop Goes the Weasel, Scourge Hook, Pain Resonance, and Hex Ruin are a few notable examples, and each are amongst the most popular perks. Many players feel like generators are powered too quickly without these perks, so we knew we needed to look at generators before making any perk changes. Slowdown perks should be an option, but not the only option to stay competitive. First, we have increased the time it takes to power a generator to 90 seconds, up from 80 seconds, a 10-second nerf, I guess, to generators. The time it takes to complete a generator hasn't been changed in a long time, but it's clear they're being powered quicker than we'd like. By slowing them down slightly, we hope to give killers a bigger window to interrupt survivors, particularly at the beginning of a trial. How many times killer players have, at the very beginning, you get into a match and let's just say it's a pretty decent chase, anywhere from 45 to 60 seconds, which I understand you can make the argument is kind of long, but for this conversation, let's say it's a 45 to 60 second chase. You down them, you pick them up, you get to a hook, and you go, all right, where are my next people? Bing, bing, bing. So fun, right? Second, kicking a generator will now instantly remove 2.5% of the maximum progress. This change makes kicking generators more meaningful, even if a survivor stops it from regressing shortly after. Additionally, survivors must now decide whether they should tap a generator to prevent regression, as this allows the killer to kick it again and knock off even more progress. So the regression per second hasn't been increased, but the initial regression has been. I don't know what I don't even think there was a initial decrease. Let me know in the comments below if I'm wrong, but I believe it just started at wherever the gen was currently at and then would just gradually decline from there. With these two changes, we hope to reduce the reliance on passive slowdown mechanics and promote increased interaction between killers and survivors. I think that's great. I have always wanted to run more like chase perks with killer. You know, one of my favorites, especially when I'm playing Pyramid Head, is Nurse's Calling. But it always felt like if you didn't stack on slowdowns, especially once MMR hit, more so when MMR hit, you would get like 4-minute games. And again, not a matter of winning, losing, just boring. General killer improvements. The average kill rate, how many survivors are killed each trial on average, are a little lower than we'd like. A sentiment echoed by many community members. To ensure the killer feels like an unstoppable force to be feared, we're making slight improvements to many aspects of killer gameplay. We've reduced the time it takes to break walls and pallets by 10%. Wow. Now 2.34 seconds instead of 2.6. Generators can also be kicked 10% faster than before. Now 1.8 seconds was 2 seconds. While these changes may seem small, a fraction of a second can be the difference between hitting a survivor and them reaching a pallet. Time management is always the biggest thing in this game, so I 100% agree with that. And literally 1 second can make the difference on both killer and survivor. Next, we've reduced the cooldown for successful basic attacks by 10%, now 2.7 seconds, previously 3 seconds, and reduced the duration of the survivor speed boost upon being hit by 10%, now 1.8 seconds was 2 seconds. Wow. Moving forward, survivors will gain slightly less distance upon being hit, making it more difficult for them to run long distances in a safe area. Laughs and Blight and Nurse. Hopefully survivors are, I think these are great changes, but hopefully survivors, when we get to that in a second, are getting some good stuff as well to help them out. Finally, we've tweaked Bloodlust to increase in power quicker than before. In most chases, Bloodlust does not activate, though there are rare cases where it can all be necessary. The long buildup often leaves the killer in a bad spot, even if they eventually get a hit. We are adjusting Bloodlust tiers to activate after 15, 25, 35 seconds of chasing, rather than 15, 30, and 45. That's going to be a debate among the community, because a lot of people have been debating for a while now about removing Bloodlust, either the tier 2 and tier 3, or just all 3 tiers together. But instead, Bloodlust is getting a buff. Interesting. Let me know how you feel about that in the comments down below. As the first tier of Bloodlust has not changed, it will not be any more prevalent in the average chase. Bearing in mind the general improvements above, we expect Bloodlust will become even more uncommon outside of exceptional circumstances. No slight, these changes affect every killer and can have ramifications on the game. We will be watching closely to ensure that nothing gets out of hand. Camping and tunneling. Dun, dun, dun. On the survivor side, there's a clear preference for perks that grant a second chance. Borrowed Time, Decisive Strike, Dead Hard are perks that perks of that nature help a survivor avoid certain death, leading to an extreme usage rate. A benefit for these second chance perks is how they help prevent unfun situations, namely being camped until out of the game, repeatedly being targeted after being unhooked. In order to incentivize a meaningful change to the meta, it was clear that we needed to address these controversial tactics. Second chance perks should be nice to have, not essential to assuring enjoyable gameplay. Agreed. Moving forward, survivors will receive a 5-second endurance effect after being unhooked. This gives us the unhooked survivor an opportunity to reach a nearby window or pallet, or the other survivor to position themselves for a protection hit. So, to that, I would say if you were in the endgame collapse and you hook a survivor by an open door, that's GG for you. They're getting out. So, killers out there, you might want to pick a further hook if possible. But that is good. We knew Borrow Time was going to become a base kit. How many, especially during these events, like the 6-year anniversary right now, how many of you have been frustratingly farmed off hook because maybe someone brought We're Gonna Live Forever and they just want the unhook, but they don't bring borrowed time, so you just immediately get downed again. Even though even saying that is foolish, because if you get downed, they don't get the save unhook stack, but they do it anyway. You know, we've all been there. Additionally, the unhooked survivor will receive a 7% haste effect for 5 seconds. Oh, that's cool. This will make them hard to catch and encourage killers to shift focus on the unhooking survivors. Both effects will be canceled prematurely if the unhooked survivor performs what we now call a conspicuous action. Conspicuous action. A conspicuous action. These are interactions other than being chased that would improve your chances of survival. This includes repairing a generator, healing yourself or others, cleansing or blessing a totem, sabotaging a hook, unhooking others, or opening an exit gate. It's kind of like the rules they applied to DS, more or less. For these base changes, we hope survivors can switch up their perk loadouts without fear that camping and tunneling will cut their next match short. Meta perk changes. Here we go. So we saw some gameplay changes, which I think are good for overall. I'm excited to see what they do with some of these meta perks to compensate these changes. For this update, perk changes fall into some of the two categories: meta perks that are used too often and non-meta perks that serve a familiar purpose but aren't used as much. We understand that many of you have grown attached to your favorite perks and loadouts. Unfortunately, shaking up the meta inevitably leads to a few changes. Rest assured that our goal is to provide alternatives that align with your preferred playstyle while widening the scope to include more viable perk options. It's also important to note that not every meta perk is equal, and each was considered on a case-by-case basis. So, what are Dead by Daylight's meta perks? I'm getting ahead of myself. By referencing both community feedback and internal data, we can see that some perks stand above the rest. Barbecue and Chili, Hex Ruin, Pop Goes the Weasel, Corrupt Intervention, Tinkerer, Hex No One Escapes Death, and Scourge Hook Pain Resonance. For survivors, Dead Hard, Borrow Time, Decisive Strike, Iron Will, Self-Care, and Spine Chill. I understand self-care being on here still blows my mind, because when I would play Killer, yeah, Circle of Healing was annoying. I was never bothered if someone was running self-care, because there's such a time penalty for it that it always felt like a mutual kind of trade. So I'm curious to see what they do with it. All right, let's get into it. Killer meta perks, Barbecue and Chili. This perk is incredibly popular, not because it's particularly powerful, but because of the huge amount of blood points it provides. Choosing to go into a match without it massively slows your progress. We do not want blood points to be the driving factor behind perk choices, so we will be removing the blood point bonus. Well, that perk's dead. While we understand this change may seem shocking, please keep in mind that this update reduced the grind by about 75%, with matchmaking incentives providing an additional avenue for blood points. I kind of assumed this was happening. I said this on my stream the other day, that both Barbecue and Chili and We're Gonna Live Forever was on this list, and with them reducing the grind, I kind of assumed this is what they were going to do to it. We believe this is a necessary step in making other aura reading perks more appealing, as blood point gain will no longer be the deciding factor. I honestly probably won't use Barbecue and Chili anymore. That perk's dead. Massive part of Hex Ruin's appeal is to not having it to stop and kick generators, as well as the ability to passively regress them from a distance. These aspects make Ruin a unique slowdown perk, so we're not looking to change them. To bring Hex Ruin in line with other perks, we're reducing the regression speed to 50, 75, and 100% from 100, 150, 200. This will reduce its power without destroying its primary appeal. After a survivor is killed, Hex Ruin will automatically deactivate. That perk's dead. Pop Goes the Weasel. Pop Goes the Weasel gives killer a controlled way to remove significant progress from a generator of their choosing. Given that kicking a generator now removes 2.5% of its progress by default, we decided to tone down some numbers to compensate. The perk will now remove 20% of the generator's current, not total, progress. This change will make Pop Goes the Weasel very effective against generators that are nearly done, but weaker against those with a small amount of progress. Wait, this perk will now remove 20%. Oh, I see. I see. So if it's like a 80% gen, it'll remove 20% of that. If it's at 5%, it'll remove 20% of the 5%. Okay, that makes sense. Corrupt intervention. I'm kind of nervous to see what they're going to do with this, because this is something where I argued when we found out borrowed time was going to become base kit. I felt corrupt intervention, at least a version of corrupt intervention, should become base kit, because as I said earlier in the video, how many times do you get into a chase and no matter how effective you think the chase was, you still lose 2-3 gens? So let's see what they're going to do to it. This perk makes the beginning of a match more manageable, forcing survivors to extend deeper into the map before repairing a generator. We aren't looking to change this aspect. Moving forward, this perk will deactivate once a survivor enters the dying state. We believe this change will keep corrupt intervention effective in helping the killer build early game pressure while providing a limit to its power. So before it was 2 minutes, but if you down someone in 30 seconds, you lose corrupt intervention? I don't like that. I don't like that change at all. As someone who's been playing Survivor past I don't know how many months now, I never had a problem with corrupt intervention because I understood why most killers brought it. So if you happen to get a good first chase, you're now punished for it. I don't like that change at all. These I'm all fine with. Barbecue, ruin, pop. I don't like that. Tinkerer. Tinkerer is a popular choice for the information it provides. Being able to prevent a generator from being powered is a game changer, particularly on killers with high mobility. It can, however, become a little oppressive when paired with certain regression perks. Therefore, Tinkerer can now only activate once per generator, but with the basic changes increased to 90, killers will have extra time to approach. I only ever used Tinkerer on one killer who was already kind of nerfed into the ground, Freddy. I think with Tinkerer being nerfed to this, I think Freddy's officially dead. He wasn't even that great of a killer after they, in my opinion, over nerfed him. When they nerfed him, I fully agreed they should have nerfed, like, you know how when they do a lot of killer reworks nowadays, they just rework the add-ons. I felt that's what they needed with Freddy. And for those who are watching, the Forever Freddy, I knew how horribly boring that was. So in my every game of Freddy I've ever played, I never ran the Forever Freddy build. Again, because it's awful. So I was all for them removing that. But in my opinion, they drastically over nerfed Freddy. Tinkerer was Freddy's best perk. With this, I think Freddy is officially trash. NERF. This perk makes for a very effective comeback tool, though it falls out of favor in high skill games. We like the way NERF encourages survivors to preemptively cleanse totems, so we're not looking to weaken its direct strength. Instead, survivors will now have a Hex Totem's aura within 4 meters upon activation. This range increases 24 meters over the course of 30 seconds. Oh, so it helps them find to cleanse it. I don't run NERF unless I'm doing like a build request. So I'm sure some people will hate this, but that doesn't bother me at all. At all. It makes it easier for killers or for survivors to find it. Okay. Pain Resonance. The most recent addition to this meta, Pain Resonance allows the killer to remove a sizable chunk from the most progressed generator simply by hooking a survivor. Loud noise notification also allows the killer to disrupt the survivors before they can continue repairing. Jack of all trades of sorts, granting both a powerful regression effect and crucial information. With that in mind, we're removing the loud noise notification. Instead of exploding, the effect generator will now spark upon losing progress, and survivors will no longer scream. So it's just a gen regression perk now instead of a gen regression and information perk. I mean, it's still going to be paired with Dead Man Switch, so will it... Hold on, does it force them off? So if they're no longer screaming, I'm assuming that means you will no longer let go of the generator as well. So Dead Man Switch won't automatically get activated. So it's actually a a good nerf to the Dead Man Switch Scourge Hook combo. Great. Cool. Awesome. Dead Hard. Here we go. Dead Hard is by far the most used perk by survivors, and it's easy to see why. In the right hands, it acts like a third health state, allowing a survivor to escape a situation where they would otherwise go down. Just wait it out, forehead. There are two main ways Dead Hard is used: dodge a hit and for distance to get to a nearby pallet or window. In the latter case, there's not much a killer can do. Just wait it out, forehead. Therefore, Dead Hard will now provide the endurance effect for 1 second when activated. If you time it right, you'll prevent the hit and gain a movement speed boost. This will remove Dead Hard for distancing and make it solely used to dodge hits, which killers can anticipate and even bait accordingly. So is there going to be some sort of animation that you can see, or is it just going to magically apply the endurance effect? This is going to be kind of like a gamble now if there's no animation, because you still will have to wait out Dead Hard in a sense, or sorry, not wait it out, bait out Dead Hard. But now they won't be able to necessarily just Dead Hard to a pallet. I'm very curious to see if there's some sort of animation. My guess would be no, to keep the killer guessing. I'm intrigued to see how Dead Hard plays out. I'm very curious to see how that plays out. I'm glad the Dead Hard resistance is gone. This is such a... I need to see how it plays out before I can give a full-on opinion of it. I think it's great that Dead Hard is being adjusted. I was hoping it was going to be some sort of rework and not just a meh adjustment to it. I need to see this in action before I can give a thorough opinion on it. Decisive Strike. One of Decisive Strike's main appeals is its efficiency at preventing tunneling. In light of upcoming base game changes, we expect Decisive Strike to drop in usage slightly. For the most part, we find the perk to be healthy for the game and easily avoidable for killers who choose not to tunnel and unhook survivors. I think Decisive Strike is relatively in a good spot as well. That's at the end of the match. There's often nothing the killer can do to prevent a killer with Decisive Strike from escaping. This is like the one thing I said. If I was going to change one thing about Decisive Strike, it would be this. Moving forward, Decisive Strike will now deactivate once the exit gates are powered. In addition, the stun duration has been reduced from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. And will now be canceled by the same actions as before, which were... where was that? Did I go too far? All right, where'd it go? So Decisive Strike is now gone with repairing a generator, healing yourself, cleansing or breaking a totem, sabotaging a hook, unhooking others, and opening an exit gate. So before, Decisive Strike did not deactivate when opening an exit gate. Now it does. I think that's great. Because like I said, I didn't really have a problem with Decisive Strike for the most part, but it was so frustrating that if someone got unhooked in the endgame collapse, but if they had Decisive Strike, you just lost because perk. Great. I think Decisive Strike, as someone, again, who didn't really have much of a problem with it to begin with, I think this is now in a perfect, great state. Great. Awesome. Super duper. Borrowed Time. Much like Decisive Strike, this perk gets much of a popular by granting counterplay against the camping killer. Considering a lighter version of Borrowed Time's effect has been added to the survivor's base kit, we need to update the perk accordingly. Borrowed Time will now extend the duration of the endurance effect by unhook survivors by 6, 8, 10 seconds, and increase the movement speed bonus duration by 10 seconds for any survivor you unhook. And the effects will be canceled once again. That's kind of what I thought they were going to do. Make a version of Borrowed Time base kit, and then if you actually bring Borrowed Time, just extends the effects. That's what I assumed they were going to do with it. Borrowed Time is with the overall duration with Borrowed Time is longer than before. We expect that having a lighter version of base kit will cause the usage rates to drop. Yeah, I agree. Iron Will. This perk allows survivors to mind game more effectively in many areas by silencing grunts of pain. To address its high usage rates, we are lowering the grunts of pain to 25, 50, 75%. Additionally, Iron Will no longer activate when exhausted, though it will not cause exhaustion itself. I assume they were just going to reduce the grunts of pain, but now if you dead hard or sprint burst or whatever, you're not exhausted, or you won't be quiet. Cool. That's a cool change. Neat. Self-care. Though self-care has a divisive divisive, oh my god, I can't talk today. Among the community, we were surprised to find that its usage peaks in the highest skill matches. Having a consistent and reliable way to heal at will is a powerful tool in the right hands. On top of that, self-care increases the efficiency of med kits, allowing survivors to squeeze additional heals out of them. To reduce its strength, self-care's heal speed were lowered to 25, 30, and 35%, and the item efficiency bonus has been removed entirely. I don't remember what the heal speed was. Was it 50%? It was 50%, right? 50% slower. So self-care is nerfed even more. I mean, I feel like most people bring Circle of Healing anyway. And with this, doing some quick math in my head, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, at 35%, placing a boon totem and then self-caring in the boon totem is now faster, right? So now we're going to see even more Circle of Healings. Again, I never had a problem with self-care. I don't use it, but I never had a problem with it, so I mean, okay. Sure, I guess. Spine Chill. This perk excels at alerting survivors when a killer is approaching, and in high skill lobbies, the vault speed increase becomes the primary draw. Yep, I use it. There are a few aspects of this perk we would like to clean up. Spine Chill will now only activate if the killer has a clear line of sight to the survivor. This will remove the awkward counterplay where the killer must look away to ensure a stealthy approach. Next, we'll be adding a short 0.5 seconds lingering effect to Spine Chill. This will prevent the perk icon from flickering when the killer looks around and makes the action speed boost more consistent. Oh, cool. Okay. We'll be removing the vault speed bonus entirely as it does not suit the perk's nature. I kind of assumed that's what they were going to do. I assumed the vault speed was going to go. Yeah, makes sense. That makes sense. Non-meta perk changes. So many meta perks being changed. We want to make sure that everyone had something new to look forward to. We've updated 25 additional perks to try out, the majority of them which will fulfill a similar purpose to the meta perks listed above. Overcharge. Along with its current effects, Overcharge will cause a kick generator's regression speed to grow from 100% to 400% over the course of 30 seconds. Whoa! I need to read that again. Along with its current effects, Overcharge will cause a kicked generator's regression speed to grow from 100% to 400% over the course of 30 seconds. So if you kick a generator with Overcharge, it regresses at 400% for 30 seconds. Keep in mind, Call of Brine regresses at 200%. What? Wow, that seems strong. So are we just going from a Ruin Pop Scourge meta to an Brutal Strength Overcharge meta? Wow. Unless I'm misunderstanding something, that seems insanely strong. Wow. 400%? My God. Eruption. Eruption released with fairly safe numbers, but upon reflection, we're comfortable with increasing them. We have up the generator's regression penalty to 10% and the duration of the incapacitated effect to 15, 20, 25 seconds. You don't see Eruption a whole lot. I don't know if this will make it come out more. Maybe in the beginning when people are just trying new stuff, but I don't really see that being a huge thing. Knockout. Those of you who like to leave survivors on the ground can have a little more peace of mind. In addition to its current effect, knockout will cause dying survivors to crawl 50% slower for 15 seconds and reduce the recovery speed by 25%. Okay. Chlorophobia. To make healing the killer's terror race even more unappealing, chlorophobia will now increase the speed of skill checks by 50% on top of its current effect. I don't see that getting used. Dark Devotion. This perk is great for confusing and sneaking up on survivors, but the basic attack requirement makes it unappealing for certain killers. Dark Devotion will now activate whenever the obsession loses a health state. So you can use it on like Blight, Nurse, Pyramid Head, insert M2 killer. Jolt. I'm assuming it's going to be the same thing here. Jolt allows the killer to regress generally simply by downing a survivor. To make it more consistent and punish careless survivor plays, we have removed the cooldown. Great. Cool. Lethal Pursuer. So you like aura reading, huh? On top of the existing effect, Lethal Pursuer will now extend the duration of all aura reading. Oh, cool. So you can now stack Lethal Pursuer with something like barbecue and chili, and you'll actually still get some sort of value out of it instead of the 7 or 9 seconds it is at the beginning of the trial. Cool. That's great. Neat. Gift of Pain. This perk also shipped with safer numbers, so we'll be increasing the action speed penalty to 10, 13, 16%. Okay. Another quick one. We're increasing the action speed penalty to 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5% per survivor. So a 2% buff to Thanat. Cries in Legion. Monstrous Shrine. Monstrous Shrine OP. Long have we waited. Monstrous Shrine has received a rework. The perk will now convert all basement hooks to scourge hooks. Additionally, scourge hooks will now grant 10, 15, 20% faster entity progress, but only if the killer is not within 24 meters. So you can't camp them out. Basement hooks are now scourge hooks. If you're going for a full like scourge hook build, this could be fun to mess around with. I don't think it's going to become super crazy meta, but I think it'll be fun to mess around with. Cool. That's neat. Survivor perk buffs. In addition to Calm Spirit's current effects, you can now open chests and cleanse and bless totems silently, albeit at 40, 35, 30% reduced speed. Cool. Saboteur. After months of studying, saboteurs can now identify scourge hooks. Their auras are shown in yellow when a survivor is being carried. You use this information to your advantage to prevent scourge hooks from being activated. Cool. Botany Knowledge now increases healing speed efficiency by 30, 40, 50%. Great. Botany Knowledge buff. Cool. Stacked with Circle of Healing. Ouch. Upon being unhooked for off the record, gain the endurance stats effect for 60, 70, 80 seconds until you perform an action. While this is a lengthy endurance effect, any game progression action will cancel it prematurely, making it purely for evading the killer after being unhooked. So if you're someone who's worried about being tunneled off hook, even with the borrowed time base kit change, this will be for you. Lucky Break. This perk is great for escaping a chase, but the effect quickly runs out. We're giving survivors a way to recharge Lucky Break. Each second spent healing another survivor increases Lucky Break's duration by 1 second. That's cool. So you can get some of the value back by helping your team. That's cool. That's neat. I like it. Pharmacy used to guarantee an emergency med kit the first time you searched a chest, but you'd either hope nobody takes before you need it or hide in a far off corner like a med kit goblin. Now, Pharmacy will activate whenever you're injured, guaranteeing an emergency med kit when you search a chest. This effect can happen multiple times in one trial. Good luck stealing my med kit now. You want to fight? Solo Survivor. In addition to hiding your aura, Soul Survivor, will now increase your general repair speed by 75% and your exit, gate, and hatch action speed by 50%. These effects are only active when you are the last survivor standing. That's super situational, but cool. Distortion. For those who like to stay hidden, we've added a way to regain distortion tokens. Gain 1 token for every 30 seconds spent within the killer's terror radius. Cool. In addition to lightweight existing effects, your scratch marks will be more sporadic, making you harder to track. Your scratch marks will also fade 5, 4, 3 seconds sooner, up from 3, 2, 1. Cool. Deja Vu. To help survivors power the 3 close generators, Deja Vu will grant a 5% repair speed bonus to the revealed generators. So gens go zoom 5% faster. No One Left Behind. Beyond its current effects, No One Left Behind will grant a 7% movement speed bonus to any survivors you unhook. Additionally, the perk now activates when the gates are powered rather than opened. Cool. Dark Sense. We've changed the way Dark Sense works. When a generator is powered, Dark Sense activates. Next time the killer comes within 24 meters of you, their aura is revealed for 5, 7, 10 seconds. Oh. So once you... I wonder if it's when any generator is done or if you have to complete the generator to get value out of it. 10-second aura reading. Can you use it multiple times? And I wonder if it'll be like one generator is done, you get the 10-second aura reading, but then to get another aura reading, another generator has to be done. We'll have to experiment with that one a bit. Tenacity. In addition to its current effects, Tenacity now reduces your grunts of pain by 75% when in the dying state. Combined with the increased crawling speed, this perk will now be much more effective in crawling away from the killer. Cool, great. Hope is great for those who like to make late game saves, but the limited duration causes it to expire at an inconvenient time. So, Hope, you will now run 7%, I believe. 7% faster for the entire end game. I mean, I already liked playing with Hope now and then. I could see me using that more. That's cool. Overzealous. Thank God this perk is finally being nerfed after 10 days. Long time coming. In its current state, Cleansing a Totem grants you a repair speed bonus of 6, 7, 8%. Now that bonus doubles if you cleanse a Hex Totem. Why did they add increased generous speed time? Whatever. Cool. Great. I don't really bring Hex Totem, so it won't really affect me. We're Gonna Live Forever. Much like barbecue and chili, this perk features a massive blood point bonus, but not want blood points to deactivate or to dictate, which perks are used. So we remove the bonus blood points from We're Gonna Live Forever. So I will never use it again. This change will release at the same time as the progression overhaul, which is expected to cut the ground by 75%. So yeah, barbecue, chili, and We're Gonna Live Forever, dead. We realize that following these changes, a new meta will surely rise. We'll be closely monitoring the performance of each upgraded perk to ensure that none fell too far out of line. Moving forward, we hope to make the meta shaking updates like this a more frequent part of our plans to keep gameplay feeling fresh. I am all for that. I am all for that. Keep switching it up. Again, like I said at the beginning of this video, even if it means gutting my favorite perks to switch up the game, I'm all for it. Keep switching it up, behavior. I love it. With that, we've reached the end of this edition to developer update. Kudos to those of you who made it this far. It was a long one. As always, these changes will be available for testing next week in the PTB. Given the number of changes made, we'll be keeping an extra close eye out for feedback. We'll be holding a live stream in the near future to preview the update and answer any questions you may have. Until next time, Dead by Daylight team. With that, that covers the progression update and the 39 perk overhaul change coming to Dead by Daylight in the next in the mid-chapter update. Again, I'm speculating around July 19th. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I think this is great overall. There are some things here and there I disagree with, but that's irrelevant because I think the game needs a massive meta overhaul anyway. I'm all for it. I think there's really great changes with the perks, some interesting changes with the base gameplay mechanics, and some fun changes with the 75% reduction to this grindy game. So let me know in the comments down below what you think of everything, the prestige system, the gameplay changes, the perk reworks. Let me know it all down below. And thanks for watching. Hopefully you'll hit that subscribe button and leave a like on the video as well. Would greatly appreciate it. And as always, we'll be checking all of these out over on my Twitch channel when the time comes. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a fantastic day, and we'll see you in the fog.